For the past few years, I've been absolutely obsessed with how people find purpose in their lives. What are the ways through which people find a purpose? And by purpose, I just mean some sort of big goal that organizes all your other goals in life. It's that thing that you dedicate yourself to that's bigger than yourself. Another way to say it is it's your why. Why live even when things are difficult to bear? Now, the cool thing about purpose is that it organizes your life on a daily basis. So it creates lots of little sub goals that you can keep working toward. For example, if your purpose is to feed hungry children, then you'll have lots of little goals like learning how to start an NGO or going to the bank to transfer money to the accounts of other NGOs that feed children or doing anything else. But the point is, all these little goals are now aligned with a bigger goal that's above them, which is your purpose. So now I ask you, are you aware of your purpose in life? And in fact, before you answer that, let me ask you something even more important. Why is it important to have purpose in life? As a psychologist, I think it's because having purpose allows us to sustain our lives even when things aren't going well, even when you're not happy, even when things are not going your way. Purpose is what gets you through the difficult times. Purpose serves as a replacement for happiness when happiness is not there. And this is really important right now because the world that we currently live in is seeing an increase in suicide rates because people feel a sense of purposelessness, a sense of meaninglessness in their lives. Statistically, you're more likely to kill yourself than to be killed by someone else, which is a real crisis. People do not feel that their life has a purpose. And so it's really important to understand the ways through which people understand what their purpose in life is. But purpose in life is not just necessary to get you through the rough times, it can also be beneficial to you in many other ways. Research in psychology shows that having a sense of purpose in life can increase your health, your happiness, and the quality of your relationships. In terms of health, it decreases your risks of having a stroke or heart attack, it decreases your risk of Alzheimer's disease, it increases the good cholesterol in your body, and it helps with your sleep quality. In terms of happiness, it increases meaning, engagement, happiness, and fulfillment in your life. And finally, it increases the quality of your relationships because you can connect to people who have similar values to you. So you have to put some effort into discovering what your purpose in life is going to be because it is important to have a purpose. So how do people discover their purpose in life? Well, it turns out that there's not an infinite amount of ways to do this. And I think the scientific article that best summarizes the literature on how people find purpose in their lives is one by Cashton and McKnight. It's titled Origins of Purpose in Life. In that article, they basically highlight 3 ways in which people can find purpose in life. The first is social learning, which is where you just adopt whatever purpose was held by those who raised you. The second is by forming purpose reactively, through the experiences that you have in your life, whether they be traumatic and negative experiences or positive experiences. And then the third way is by proactively creating your purpose, by you deciding what you want your purpose to be. So let's go through all 3 in detail. And at the end, I'm going to tell you which one I think should be your preferred method of understanding what your purpose in life is. And let's start with the first, which is discovering your purpose through social learning. Most of us discover our purpose in life by adopting the purpose of those who came before us, the people who raised us, the communities we live in, the culture that we're imbued in. And this is what the famous psychologist Albert Bandura called social learning theory. Have you ever noticed how people tend to take on the religion of their parents? It's very rare to find a case where the first generation were Muslims and then the next were Christians and the next were atheists and the next were Buddhists. It doesn't work that way. Often lineages have the same religion running throughout. That is an example of social learning, and it also applies to sillier examples. For example, I support a soccer club called Manchester United. And I support them because my dad watched them. And so when I was a kid, I saw him getting excited and I associated his excitement with watching the team and their victories. And so now every time that team loses, I have to suffer because of that. So thanks, Dad. Anyways, all of this is to say that purpose in life can be handed down to you through a process called social learning. So you need to understand how your purpose in life has been shaped by those around you. The second way to develop purpose in life, as I said, is reactively, which is when something happens to you and your purpose changes because of what happened, whether it be negative or positive. It can be a good or bad thing to decide what you want from life based on the experiences that you've had. It can be a good thing or a bad thing. It can help you or it can lead you astray. But it is a fact that we often decide what we want from life and what our purpose in life is based on what we go through. There's a whole literature in psychology on how people cope with traumatic experiences, for example, and how that changes the way they see life and what they believe their purpose is in life. And there's also a whole literature on people who have been diagnosed with a medical illness and sometimes even terminal illnesses. And in those cases, you also see people whose purpose in life changes. I had a client in my own practice who was sexually assaulted at a young age, and that changed her purpose in life. It made her want to be someone who advocates for women's rights. And that purpose in life would not have been created if she didn't go through the traumatic experience that she did go through. However, when thinking about the events that shaped your life and shaped your purpose in life, remember this. It's not just traumatic events that can change your sense of purpose in life. It's also really positive events. For example, you could be promoted and you could be put into a position of power. And oftentimes people who have a change in their level of power also see a change in their level of purpose, either negative or positive. Another example, and a very common one, is when someone has a child. That's generally considered a positive experience, but that also can change what you believe the purpose of life is, and the purpose of your life specifically. That's why people who chronically smoke their whole lives can stop smoking on demand once they realize that they're pregnant. The point here is that whether you go through a positive or negative experience, you need to think about in your own life how your experiences have shaped what you understand your purpose in life to be. Now, the third way to develop a purpose in life is proactively. A powerful way to discover your purpose in life is to try not to discover it. So to not go looking for it as though it's somewhere, as though you could pick up a rock and find it under there. A powerful way to understand what your purpose in life is to stop trying to find it, stop trying to discover it, but instead create it. For you to decide what you want it to be, and then to build it from the ground up, to clarify it, to refine it, to reflect on it, and then to decide, and then for you to take action on that purpose. This is the person who actively thinks about who they could be, what they want their legacy to be, what kind of impact they want to have in the world. This is the kind of person who reflects on those things, who often, when they do have conversations with others, have conversations about those kinds of things. I had a client in my practice who decided that their purpose in life was to save the planet, and so they quit their job and they got a job at a place where they could work with renewable energy because they wanted to be a part of that project. They wanted that to be their purpose in life. But they didn't get that handed down to them. In fact, they said that their family and the culture that they were surrounded by didn't particularly care about the environment. And they also didn't have any particular strong negative or positive experience that caused them to change their purpose in life. They got that purpose in life because they created it. They decided that that's what they wanted their life to be about. Now, those are the three ways people find purpose in their lives. But I told you at the beginning of this video that I was going to tell you what I think as a psychologist is the best way to go about discovering what your purpose in life is. So do you think it's through social learning? Do you think it's reactively through experiences? Or do you think it's proactively creating it? Well, as a psychologist, I think it's the last one, which is proactively creating your purpose. If you allow your purpose in life to be given to you, there's no guarantee that that purpose will resonate with you as a unique individual. If you just adopt whatever your parents think is important, or your culture, your society, there's no guarantee that you will find that satisfying in your own life. And this often happens. We often see people who are living their parents' dream or their parents' idea of what life should be like because they were too afraid to discover their own purpose. But it's also a mistake to create your purpose in reaction to any experience that you go through, because your experiences that you go through might not necessarily point you in the right direction, because you could go through any sort of experience. So you don't want to hand over power of creating your purpose to whatever happens to you. So this is why I've come to the conclusion that people should take personal responsibility for creating their purpose. That way you can decide that it's something that resonates with you and not those around you. And you can decide that it's what you want to be about regardless of what's happened to you. So your task today is to create your own purpose in life. Create that in your own life. And do that with these 3 steps. The first is to think about what purpose was given to you by your parents, your family, those around you, your culture, your society. Think about what their purpose in life is and what you internalized about it. Secondly, think about how the experiences that you've been through in life, those really strong ones that have molded you, think about how those experiences shaped what you believe your purpose should be in life. And then once you've got both of those on the table, the third and final step is to decide to consciously create your purpose in life, to decide what you're going to be about, what you want to stand for, What's the bigger cause that you want to devote yourself to outside of yourself? And then finally, commit to that and take action based on that. Having a consciously created purpose in your life can open so many doors for you. It can be something that guides all your other decisions on a daily basis and that guides your behavior. You can use purpose in life as a compass to know what to do, to know how to respond to life. It can also increase your health, happiness, and relationships. Purpose is that anchor that keeps you grounded in a world that's full of noise, full of opinions, and full of lots of influences, people trying to tug your behavior in many different ways. Purpose in life is necessary for everyone, and it's necessary for you.